website design. As I said before, that is the first, well, no, let me take it back. We do content first. The reason why in our courses, our workshops, we do content is that if we have the content, and that's, we'll start with the brochure, and from the brochure, we'll then embed, we create the video that they're going to embed in there, and we talk about, for instance, if you look at some of those electronic brochures that are online, one of the things in there, you'll notice a really effective one only has one video per page. Because if you start cluttering with too many videos, it's just, once again, it's getting too distracted. But once we go with content, for us, going to next goes to the website. And what we use, as I said in our program, we do the Cadillac version, Dreamweaver, but we find out our most popular and successful they want to deal with is going to be WordPress. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me challenge you for just a minute. If I were going to do a website design for e-commerce, rather than content, I guess I would make them first figure out who they are. Answer that question before you talk about content.
We do that in our content.
What makes you different than everybody else? What's your selling proposition? And after you answer that, then we can talk about content.
We do. Okay, as I said, we do that. I see your point, and I kind of see how you would go there. The way we approached it was that very same question as in our first piece of content is, who are you? What makes you so special? So I think we're getting to the same place, because they then take what they did was who they are, what they created, and that's also reflected in their website and everything that comes thereafter. But at least in our thinking, we thought that the content is what drives everything else. That's how we brought about it.
You said that Dreamweaver was the Cadillac, but WordPress is the.
WordPress is that's the bulk of our program. They come in because WordPress is easy. It is, and the business people and people who are not web, get to second Myron, who are not, really big on web design, things like that. It just gets them in quickly, and as they become more comfortable with WordPress, they're able to now, get to a certain point that they could then begin writing that back engine code. I'm not a web person, and I hear my web people tell me, we're going to back engine part of it. So they can do a lot more. We find out it gets them in quicker, and they're more comfortable with it, and is also one of the most widely used ones out there.
Yeah. So from a previous conference that I was in, content that was very similar to this was boiled down to, like he said, who we are, what we do,
exactly,
and then who's our ideal customer.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Actually, we bring. I think also we do who our ideal customer, who our target audience is. I think we move that up a little bit, because that drives our content in a lot of ways. I always use the insurance. Example. Okay. In other words, if I'm selling insurance and I got a lot of different markets. If I can sell insurance to a newlywed couple that has different needs versus a couple that is now raising a family and their needs for insurance. Or now there are people who are retired and they're now empty nesters. So my message is a little bit different to each of those. And we use that, telling them that no one size fits all, but it was so important to be able to identify that target, who you're speaking to, and that's the hardest one, because we get into demographics, and we get them pulling out. Going to the census data and all these free things that are there. So the more they drill down, the more they're able to hone that in and target that in. And students are and lots of stuff, we've dealt with a lot of business people who are it's so difficult to get them to start, really focusing on who they are serving, along with who are we. In other words, what's our message? What sets us apart?
I want to mention to the group too that besides WordPress, which I started with, found for the students can be very complicated. You might want to look at sites.google.com. It's just makes a little difference in complexity.
Say that again.
Sites, S-I-T-E-S.
Google's website.
Google Sites.
It was
a little more restrictive.
I sit down with my web development people and things like that. They can go for hours debating which one, which program they're going to use. We've done workshops. We found, some of our instructors come in with specialties in one area, and then that's where, for us, our industry partners came in to so I mean, we began to, we're kind of fortunate being in Orange County. We're looking at a lot of the businesses that have their different type of websites, the public, publishers, and we began to see the trend emerging as we saw WordPress. It was either one or two, and as they got much more in depth and specialized, and we started to see some Dreamweaver, but not. I mean, it was like way down on the list. But this once again was from we were talking now to the companies and users out there.
I went to another workshop and they said, instead of teaching Dreamweaver, we should be teaching our students WordPress, and then helping them understand how to monetize WordPress as the next step. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And that's the cool. I don't know if I'm going to even get to my slides at the end when we're talking about that. It's like, is there certain levels we can teach of it? We can teach that for instance, our non-credit certificate is bringing in that technician that maintains all this, because somebody comes in, they set it all up, but then that dentist, that doctor, that small business person, they don't have the time to maintain it. So that's what our first level non-credit certificate does. Is this is the person that maintains this. We found out that after a while, if that person is really motivated, they will really, really then want to move up to that next step and get a little bit more specialized.
Yeah, a plug for WordPress and WordPress-like websites is it teaches the student to deal with databases. And once they have that foundation, they move into the job environment. They understand that relationship between what people are seeing and the interaction with the database.
Well, I can't say enough about WordPress.
Yeah.
And I came to the table late on WordPress, and one of our former instructors, and now one of the TAP, Sean Gloomis, he was our WordPress evangelist. And so he got WordPress, but yet on the other end, he was a big proponent of the Dreamweaver. And then when Creative Suite came out with their Muse, and I get a Muse person coming in, it's like, oh, jeez, so we're like all over the place. Search engine optimization. This is another thing we really, and we do this in our basic, because, in other words, users need to understand the words, the phrases that when Google sends our little bots out there looking, going all over the web and seeing who's linking to your pages and what they're getting and everything else, the words and things you need to put in. Now, mind you, when we do our YouTube for Business, we do the exact same thing for the keywords and search engine optimization, because YouTube, once again, is using all Google stuff, because that's Google. But YouTube will slam you. They will slam you. They'll cut down they'll take away your status and everything else.